All right, everyone. I think that we are going to go ahead and kick this off. All right, Zach, I've got you live too. So let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so we're going to talk about the ROI of social media. My name is Chloe. I am the customer success manager here at Gorgias. A little bit of background: I actually used to be a Gorgias customer. I worked for an e-commerce company, and we were one of the first few customers back in the early days of Gorgias. And then I did some consulting with Gorgias clients, and now am heading up the customer success side of things. And so my job is to ensure that you are successful using the platform. We also have Zach Long joining us. He is the co-founder of Shift Customer. Zach's going to speak in a little bit, but Zach, if you just want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I'm Zach. I'm the co-founder of Shift Customers. So we actually exclusively use Gorgias with most of our clients for managing customer service in their e-commerce stores. My background stems from actually owning a few e-commerce businesses, feeling those pains as an owner, and just realizing that I enjoyed solving a few of the problems that e-commerce owners kind of struggle with a little more than actually running an e-commerce business. So here we are doing that. That's me.
Awesome. All right. So here we go. First things first, the problem. The ROI of social media cannot be calculated by ROAS, return on ad spend alone. I'm sure you all saw it in the description, but when asked what the ROI of social media is, Gary Vaynerchuk answered, "What's the ROI of your mom?" Haha, it's funny, but there really is some truth to that, because it's not just about, ROAS or, looking at just those different sets of data. There's so much more that goes along with it. Obviously, ROAS is important. We are not discrediting that. But there's a lot of money being left on the table from missed opportunities. So I had a boss who used to always ask, "What's the opportunity?" And she would ask this whether we had run into a problem or whether we had, had a great success. And really, it was just to get you to think about it from the perspective of being proactive instead of reactive. And so here, there's opportunity to find those missed leads, opportunity to create more brand awareness and garner loyalty from customers who are already existing and have purchased from you, and also just people who are interacting with you on social media, whether it be positive interactions or a negative interaction. Looking at the efficiency of your agents. So one of the things Zach's going to talk about is going to be utilizing Facebook Business Manager versus having the opportunity to manage it all in Gorgias. With that comes your customer history. So all of their order information and all of their communication in one place. Another aspect, critical response time, and being able to deliver consistent brand tone, as well as that holistic and real-time view. I think the greatest opportunity when it comes to looking at the ROI of social media is being able to pull that holistic and real-time view of what's going on within your business, especially from that social media side of things. All right, so the goal here, we talked about what the problem is, and the goal here is to turn your call center, and oftentimes customer support is viewed as that, a call center. So turning it into a profit generator. And there's a few different ways that we can do this. One is being able to have all of your customer communications in one place, leveraging the tools in Gorgias to boost conversions and generate revenue, and having automated workflows that also can have that personal touch. So like I said earlier, if you weren't already on the call, we've worked with a few different customers to really test and tweak what some of these different processes could look like. The very first customer that we tested this with, if we look back over just 1 week of data, they were able to engage their customers on Facebook posts 4,471 times in 1 week, with the workload split between only 3 agents. Now, if we look across all communication channels, so chat, email, everything else, they sent a total of 5,554 messages, and their first response time was 33 minutes. I personally think that's pretty amazing. All right, so kind of talking about that still, but also talking about that engagement piece. So we talked about, this first customer with Gorgias, is able to engage on Facebook posts and comments, thousands and thousands of times. So there's a few different pieces of data here that really speak to customers returning to your store and purchasing again after one purchase, but also looking at the value of a customer who has placed more than one order. So the last piece that I think is super important is that customers who engage with companies over social media are more loyal, and they spend up to 40% more than with those companies than other customers do. It's not always about that immediate conversion. Engagement is so important because while you may not get, a turnaround with that conversion that same day or maybe even that same week, it's an opportunity to see, okay, who are you as a brand, and why does your customer or why does this person connect with your brand? It creates community, it creates a sense of trust and loyalty as well. Another important note here is that it also gives you an opportunity to leverage your customers' posts. User generated content has been shown to generate 6.9 times the engagement of brand generated content. All right, so customers expect personalization. We've talked a little bit about automation, and we're going to look at that a little bit further as far as how you can actually make it happen. But customers expect personalization. So with that level of automation, you still need your personal touch in there. So we know that revenue comes from Facebook and Instagram ads. And then customers may reach out on multiple channels, and that holistic view is lost. So it's hard to give that same level of personalization when you don't have all of that information in one place. This just kind of shows you a breakdown where you can see, okay, there's Messenger, there's email, there's chat, Messenger again, Facebook comments, and have all of their customer, their order data right here as well. All right, so 65% of Facebook businesses offered no responses to their customers. So from comments, posts, or messages. Out of those, 42% responded within the first 60 minutes. So with that personalization also comes an expectation of how quickly you're responding to your customers. I just read a piece of data that said that 40% of social media consumers say they expect a response within 60 minutes. So how do you do that? So Love Your Melon is a really large company. We'll talk about them a little bit more in a minute. But when they first started using Gorgias, their first response time, or their average handle time, was 1 hour and 22 minutes. After 6 months of setting up all of these different workflows, their average handle time went down to 26 minutes across all channels. Love Your Melon has like 1.2 million Facebook followers and over 1 million customers. So that's pretty outstanding. All right, so this is where I really want to pull Zach in to kind of speak to, what they do a little bit more, and then also just talk about, some of the different benefits that they've found within Gorgias. And just given his experience as an e-commerce owner, he really can see it with some keen insight into where the value is. And then once we're done with that, we're going to walk through some of the different processes, and we'll take some different questions as well. Zach, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So I want to preface this with a few things. One, this is not a sales pitch for Shift customers. So everything I talk about here is straight up just about value. Secondly, a little background on me, just so you can kind of help understand where a lot of my insights are coming from. I've been lucky enough to take over 15 e-commerce businesses from doing under $20,000 a month in sales up to close to actually a little over $250,000, a month in sales. And being a part of that journey comes with a lot of roadblocks and kind of seeing some trends that every business kind of runs into along the way. And that's really where a lot of these learning and insights are coming from, is just kind of being on that journey with a lot of e-commerce stores going from infant stages up to doing a couple million a year in sales. With that, also having spent over $5 million of ad spend on Facebook and Instagram, I think we've generated a lot of learnings on what can actually help with that performance as well. So I'm not sure where a lot of the business owner stages are here. A lot may be over that, but just from that perspective, kind of diving into a few of these things, I think we can kind of get some clarity on what customer service means for an e-commerce business. So, I kind of threw this quote on here because I think it's important, because one of the biggest lessons learned that I've had along that journey with e-commerce businesses is kind of being there as they're scaling quickly, but then hitting peaks, hitting these mountains that they just can't seem to get past. And then sometimes kind of seeing year over year some different changes and trends. And what happens is, as a e-commerce store kind of finds a niche and scales and grows quickly, competitors come in very fast and kind of start taking some of that business. Amazon's a huge one. A lot of people start selling things on Amazon that are similar for a lower price, and unfortunately, that takes a lot of customers from businesses. And that's a trend that I've seen a lot with these businesses. Is as they grow, they kind of hit these peaks, and they have to find ways to get past that as they're growing. And one thing that we've noticed is, as you start to offer better customer service online, you start to see some gains to get past those peaks. Now, there are a lot of other elements to come into play, inventory, things like that. But it's very true. This quote here: by 2020, customer experience has been predicted to take over price and product as the key differentiator in a business. And we are even seeing that today across the board, where a customer will stay with you if you're offering great customer service. Even if your product is a little more expensive than a competitor, they'll stay with you if you really are offering great service, because they trust you and they value doing business with you. So when you're looking at defining the ROI of social media, this is something that's so hard to measure, because there are so many factors that come into play in terms of understanding what your return on investment is there. But one thing that we're noticing, especially when you're investing in Facebook and Instagram ads, is Facebook is having this challenge of balancing making money from ads versus keeping people on their platform. So they want to take your money as a business, but they also want to keep people on Facebook. Otherwise, you're not going to have people to market to. So one way that they define a business as a business that's offering value on their platform is how quickly they respond to comments on Instagram posts, to comments on Facebook posts, to private messages on both platforms, as well as comments on Facebook and Instagram ads. And what they do is they actually reward these businesses with a little more organic reach, because they're actually engaging with people online. Because when you're engaging quickly online, Facebook kind of is saying, okay, cool, people want to see this stuff in their feed because they're engaging with it. And the algorithm starts to kind of serve your content with a little more organic reach, which in turn can help with your return on ad spend on your ads, because increased organic reach obviously helps with that. It also, helps with people converting a little better on ads as well. As you've probably noticed, if you're running ad campaigns or even posts, if people are commenting and seeing a response from the brand, that adds credibility, and it makes people feel like they may want to purchase from you. Even for a first-time buyer, if they see a response on a comment on any kind of ad or post from a brand, then they know that they're serious about taking care of their customers. And that is also something that can help with conversions if you're running paid media to your website on those platforms. Because as you probably know personally, if you're seeing something in your feed from a brand and you see somebody ask a question about a size, or maybe complain about how something fit or whatever it was, and you see the brand respond, it makes you feel a little more comfortable to swipe your card. So that's something that's very important for a brand to do quickly on Facebook and Instagram and every other social platform, but those especially, because Facebook will reward you for that, because they need to find ways to balance making money, but also keeping people on Facebook and Instagram. So when you're defining the ROI of social media, there's a lot of things to think about. You're thinking about all of your costs, everything you're investing to actually have social media active for your brand. But when you're looking at your actual return on investment, you can track that. There are tools and there are ways to, pixel, you obviously pixel your ads with Facebook and Instagram ads. So you know who's converting. And if you're using Shopify and some other platforms, they'll actually tell you their exact order value. So you can see the return on ad spend, which is great. But when you're looking at like a response or the organic side of things, really kind of muddies the water a little bit in terms of like a hard figure dollar amount. But when we are looking at ROI for our own personal businesses, as well as others we're working with, we look at the hard number. I mean, we've had some instances, typically when we first get rolling, we'll use like unique discount codes with our online chat or responding to private messages on Facebook and Instagram. And, within that first month, you can really accurately track back and say, okay, cool. The return on social media engagement with customer service generated $30,000 to $40,000 this month by people who use unique discount code that was offered through a response. So that's one way to kind of track that ROI. But when you're looking from a holistic perspective, you really need to start to look at how you're defining yourself against your competitors. Are your competitors responding quickly? Because that's going to be something that sets you apart. So you have the dollar figure, which is profitable. Then you also have, the value of the psychological triggers that get people to engage with your brand on a monetary level, but also on a sharing level to tell their friends about who you are and what you're doing. So we like to define ROI of social media, not only by that monetary value, but also by, are we actually engaging quickly with customers and with potential customers to show them that we care as a brand. And that's very, very important. And that kind of ties into the efficiency of Facebook Business Manager versus Gorgias. So Facebook, on each Facebook page, if you go to the messages section of your brand's Facebook page, you'll see that Facebook lets you respond to private messages on Facebook, as well as people who are commenting and engaging on like Instagram posts and ads, as well as Facebook posts and ads. And it's something that they've offered businesses to kind of help them with the customer service piece, because like I said, like they're giving a lot of weight to very fast, timely, personalized responses from brands in terms of how much reach you're actually getting as a brand. But unfortunately, it hasn't been their main focus. So it's very clunky. So a few things that kind of separate managing directly from Facebook versus Gorgias is customer information. Probably one of the biggest things. And one of the reasons that, we really enjoy Gorgias is we can actually pull in order information based on a specific person who's commenting or sending a message if they're tied to that Shopify store or whatever store they're using. So that's really helpful information, because then you can kind of customize your response, or you can tell if somebody maybe is lying about something, or if they want to return or maybe didn't get a product. You can see that information within Gorgias for that specific person, which is super helpful. That's something that gives you that insight as a customer service rep or as a business owner to really personalize and maybe even prioritize some of your responses. Second piece is it's pretty cluttered. I don't know if you've had a chance to pop in to the messages within Facebook, but there's not a whole lot of organization. It's very easy to accidentally check something as completed and without giving it a response, and then trying to find that response is very difficult. One of the challenges that we ran into when we were managing directly from there was Facebook will say, hey, somebody responded on this post, but if there's 100 responses on that post, you kind of have to scroll through to find that response. So you're wasting a lot of time to find that as well. So it's pretty cluttered. The third thing is, assigning roles is very important, especially for businesses that maybe have some compliance concerns. We work with some skincare companies who have ingredients in their products. And as you know, if you're buying something with ingredients, you want to know what they are. Are they safe? Where are they sourced? A lot of different questions kind of come to mind. There's a lot of barriers before you buy. So customer service is especially important for brands like that, who may need to be thinking about a compliance response. For example, if somebody says, hey, is this safe for pregnant people? You don't want to just say yes. You got to be very careful about how you respond about that, because there are a lot of laws and things you have to kind of abide by. So it's very nice to be able to assign things to people internally if there's a tough question. Another example, it's a little less technical, is if somebody's returning something or if somebody didn't get their order, maybe you want to assign that to somebody within your team who's fulfilling orders so that they can kind of look into it on their end. So that's something that Gorgias makes very easy, but Facebook makes very difficult to do. And the last piece that I think we'll dig into in here in just a moment is macros, which are basically just pre-built responses. So let's say we're getting a question that's a very common question. It's very easy to respond quickly with Gorgias because you actually save a response and with the click of a button, respond very quickly to somebody. Whereas in Facebook, you can't save those responses. You have to either copy and paste it or type it out. And it's very easy to make mistakes by maybe copying and pasting the wrong answer or whatever it is. So that kind of ties into why it's important to manage from a help desk. We ran into a lot of challenges with our businesses before we started using help desks, where we were trying to keep things kind of cohesive and consistent and everything kind of in one place, where some people were managing things from like a Facebook business manager while others were managing from just various places, and nothing was really centralized. So website chat, emails, social responses, everything was very cluttered and just all over the place. Nothing was in one spot for us to kind of keep organized and respond to. So help desk, so Gorgias is very awesome. Actually, they're the only help desk that we found, and was one of the biggest reasons we're using Gorgias, is where they're one of the only help desks we found that does a great job of centralizing everything. So it makes assigning things great and very easy for whatever it is, whether it's a website chat, a Facebook comment, Instagram comment, private message, whatever it is. It's very easy to keep all of that in one place. It makes it way more worth your time. Your investment in time and employees is going to be cut down significantly using a tool like this, we found. So this is really, really nice. Second thing is macros can be used across the board. They can be used in a chat. They can be used in a Facebook comment, private message, whatever it is. Saving those responses really does cut down and save on time, but it also helps you as a business owner feel comfortable with how people are responding. If you do have some sensitive responses, knowing that there's a saved response for that is really, really nice as a business owner. And it gives you some peace of mind if you're not the one responding, to know that you have an approved response going out for certain questions across the board. Chat, social, email, whatever it is. It's nice to have that all in one place because it's going to save you a lot of time and money. And really, those are some of the biggest points, on those first three topics. I think some additional key points. I'm going a little long here, but I'm super passionate about this. Additional key points with customer service for businesses. Really just wanted to nail down. It's super, super important as a business owner to respond quickly on social media, because Facebook really does reward you for that. There isn't like a hard increase in ROAS number that you can really pull from it, but they really do reward you with organic reach. And there's a reason they kind of give you those stats on how quick you respond on their platform. So that's something that's very important to think about. Second thing is customer service really is that one thing that's setting businesses apart from one another. There's always going to be competitors coming in at lower prices. Even if their product is not as good as yours, you still have to deal with that headache. And it really is true. We've seen this with a lot of businesses doing a significant amount of volume. We've seen things turn around by offering better customer service. So it really is something that's important to be thinking about and taking seriously. I would even venture to say just as seriously as your marketing campaigns, understanding that they are going to help everything. They help with lifetime value of your customer and help you acquire new customers. And I think that's the last point I want to make, is the lifetime value of customers is super critical to think about, because it costs a lot of money to acquire new customers, but it costs way less money to keep customers around and to keep them buying more and to give them a great experience so that they go and they talk to their friends and family about you guys and about your product. And that's one thing that is always going to be there. It's never going to change. You don't have to worry about Facebook changing their algorithm for ad campaigns and ad costs going up and all these different things. Customer service is always going to be there. And I would actually venture to say it is one of your biggest defenses against all the changing factors that come into place as a business owner. Competitors coming into the mix, Facebook and Instagram ads, becoming more expensive. All these different variables that are out of your control are happening, and they're always going to happen. The market is always changing. Technology is always changing. But the one thing that's not always changing is the psychological triggers that come into play when you're offering amazing customer service to your customers and to potential customers. So I think that's kind of how I want to end this slide, is just really thinking critically about that, the importance of that. It is a very small investment when you're thinking of the perspective of the lifetime value and how you can generate new customers as well as keep current customers. And it's a lot less of a risk to try and see how it benefits your business than, investing 20 grand in ad campaigns for a month that you are going to work. So anyways, I just want to throw that out there. And that's
Awesome.
all.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Zach. And you were speaking a little bit to the efficiency in Facebook Business Manager versus Gorgias, and that Shopify integration and all of that. And one of the things that I kind of want to point out is that Zach and I have actually not communicated about this aspect of things, but one of the things we hear often from customers is, oh, I don't want to integrate my Facebook comments into Gorgias because then my ticket volume is going to go up and blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of like, okay, so I get that. You don't want your ticket volume to go up. However, because you don't want to have to change plans. But when you really look at it from the perspective of the kind of support that you're giving, the ability to effectively manage your brand tone, and the efficiency of managing those comments in Gorgias versus managing them in the Facebook Business Manager, you save time. And we all know that time is money. So if you have somebody who's going into Business Manager day in and day out, how much time are they spending doing that? Because I'm going to tell you, as somebody who did it, I know how inefficient it is. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, because, it was the first customer that I gave you those statistics on. That was one of their big things. They were like, oh, I don't want to do this because blah, blah, blah. So we're like, just give it a try and then see what you think. They're using 3 agents and sending over 5,000 messages a week and engaging on Facebook comments more than 4,000 times in a week with 3 agents.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just to kind of co-sign that, as a business owner and also, somebody who is on like in the trenches, with these businesses, it's definitely also about making sure that the correct responses are getting out. Like it is very easy to accidentally send the wrong response or a poor response directly through the Facebook management tool. Gorgias really helps to reduce the chances of that happening, we've found. So that's a huge concern that we've seen with businesses as well. It's definitely about efficiency, but it's also about making sure that quality support is getting out there. And we found it's hard to do that in Facebook since it's not as organized. So it takes a lot more time. There's a lot more back and forth, and that increases the chances of mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of speaking to that, let's jump into our next slide. So I'm getting ready to walk you through kind of what some of the processes look like, and how you can set up some different workflows. I'm going to show you, how you do it with rules, views, and macros. And most of those are going to be they're going to really look at that efficiency side of things. And so for your customers who are like, oh, I love this, I want this, how you can quickly and efficiently respond to those. But the key component also is going to be personalization. So there's that efficiency side of things, but then there's also this personalization side of things where, again, Zach said it, I said it earlier, this is so incredibly important. Being able to see who your customer is, see how many times, they're communicating with you, what they're communicating about, all of their order history. It's so incredibly important and critical to your brand and to your business, being able to truly thrive. One of the things that I can tell you that I experienced was when I was a support manager for an e-commerce company, we had a customer who had placed tons and tons and tons of orders, but we never really heard from her. And it wasn't until we pulled in Facebook comments that we were able to suddenly make this connection of, oh my gosh, this is our biggest advocate on social media. And when we were able to suddenly see, oh my gosh, look at all of these comments where she's answering customer questions on our Facebook and then sharing with other friends and tagging us in it and posting pictures of herself and our products. And we had no idea. She wasn't our biggest customer. So like when we looked in Shopify, we weren't seeing her as our biggest customer, but she was absolutely our biggest promoter. And we had no idea until we were able to see that entire history in one place. And then we were able to jump in and make sure that every time a ticket came in from her, it was getting tagged with something specific because she was now a huge promoter and we needed to be able to handle her with an extra level of personalization in our communication with her. So just driving that home one more time. It's just so incredibly important. All right, so let's jump right in. So there are some different ways that you can take all of your social media comments and messages and start utilizing rules to tag them and then sort them into views. So this first one, and I apologize for the poor quality of these images. I tried everything I could, but for whatever reason, just couldn't get them much better. So here we go. So the first one is going to be your negative comments. So you can create a rule that says, hey, if this is coming in from a Facebook comment or an Instagram comment, it has any of these words in it, then let's add this tag so that we know to prioritize all of these. So we're going to jump in right away and go through and make sure that we're addressing them. Some of them may just need to be hidden, but some of them may need a very clear public response as well. You can also create one that is going to sort out all of your actual questions. So if somebody's asking, you know, when, how, why, where, what, any of those, and it's coming from Facebook, then go ahead and add this tag to it so we can sort those out. So we know that there's opportunity here. Either it's, you know, the customer asking a question about their order status, or maybe it's a lead and they're asking about, you know, sizing or something else. We don't want to miss that. So these are just some different examples. Here's another one. This is a way to really tag those leads and tag even things where somebody's like, oh, it's too expensive, I can't afford this, it costs too much. And take those, put them somewhere, and then have a macro, you know, that's got a discount code in it or something like that. Or when you're running a promotion, go back into that view and send out a macro to all of those customers that say, hey, just so you know, we're running this awesome promotion. I know that last time, you know, you had mentioned it was a little bit expensive. So here, I wanted to share this with you. Same, or, you know, when people are like, I love it, this is dope, oh my gosh, I have to have that. Tag them as lead. Now you have an opportunity to go in and interact with them, engage them. Even if they don't buy or convert right then and there, even in the next week, you have engaged with them, and that holds a lot of weight, and other people are going to continue seeing that. So somebody may see, who's been on the fence for 3 weeks about purchasing, may see you engaging, and that's their, you know, that kind of psychological trigger like Zach was talking about, that's going to turn them around and give them, you know, what they need to go ahead and swipe that card. All right, so we looked at those rules. Those were just a couple of examples of ways you can set those up, right? So they're getting automatically tagged. So now let's look at some of the views that could correspond with them. So if you're tagging everything that is like, you know, oh, I love this, this is amazing, I want this, you can always, you know, break it down into 3 words per tag or whatever. But then you just go in and you create a view that says, hey, it's got to contain this tag and it's got to be an open ticket, right? So now you've got all of those organized into one view. You can do the same thing with other types of leads. We've seen it from, you know, people who are doing it with wholesale, people who will actually pull in information and create a rule based on a very specific post. And you can create a rule using that message body from your original post, so that you're tagging all of those individually. And again, you're just setting up a view for that. Right here, we've got this as the assignee is empty, because it may be that with some of these, you want specific types of leads to automatically be assigned to somebody. So if it's assigned to somebody, you don't necessarily want it in this view. All right, so now let's look. We've created rules, right? So we're automatically tagging these different comments, or maybe they're Facebook messages, Instagram comments. We're tagging them based on specific keywords. And then we're setting up views to say, okay, I want to see and organize all of these tickets that are open with this tag on it right here, right? So when we do that, now what we can do is we can actually go in and create macro responses based on what those different topics are. So for example, if somebody's commenting with, oh my gosh, I want this, I need this, go in and have that rule to automatically tag it. Once it's in that view, create your macros. Okay, this one's a macro response for a Facebook comment where somebody's wanting or needing it. Have 4 or 5 of those with different verbiage in them, right? Then what you're going to do is within that view, you can actually select all of your tickets in that view, or maybe you only want to select 10 of them, and then mass apply a macro to them. So one of our customers that I've been working with recently, they are an agency that handles a lot of big influencers that also have e-commerce companies. And so their social media comments, the volume there is just like through the roof. They are working with 2 agents across 5 different brands. And their top 3 brands are doing about 1,200 tickets a week, with about 60% of those being social media comments. And they've been able to get that first response time down super low, manage it with 2 different agents by utilizing this. So they'll go in and they will actually select 3, apply 1 macro, select the next 3, apply another macro. And within a matter of seconds, you have literally responded to 30 different comments. You have engaged 30 different times in less than a minute on social media. So you apply the macro, and once you click that, it's going to pull this up, and you can now go in, choose the macro you want, and apply it to all of those tickets that you've selected. So the initial setup with the rules and the views, it might take a couple of minutes to get all of that up and running, but once you are actually utilizing it, it is such a quick process, and it saves you so much time. So this is kind of where we come back to that piece of talking about, we often hear from our customers, oh, I don't want to integrate our social media messages and comments. And so I understand kind of the thought process behind that, but I think so often it gets overlooked the ways that you can automate these processes while still giving that level of personalization. The same goes, when we're talking about those disappointed customers. If they have tickets that have been opened in the past and they were disappointed or they were frustrated, maybe you need to add into that rule, hey, make sure we exclude this customer though, because we want to give her a different kind of attention or personalization. There's just so many different things that you can do with this to really engage your customers on a real level, to automate this workflow, and to increase conversions. It is about that level of support, personalization, and your response time that all goes hand in hand when we're looking at what the true ROI of social media is.